Now, a little over 2 years ago, I made a video on just how close LeBron was to breaking the all-time scoring record. Well, 2 years have passed and a lot has happened. The NBA got shut down, he suffered multiple injuries involving his groin and his ankle. The seasons have been shortened, he's teamed up with AD and transitioned into more of a facilitator role, and a ton has happened that was way too unpredictable back then when I made that original video. By the end of the video, if you haven't seen it, the answer was yes. I said that I had zero doubts in my mind that LeBron James would break the all-time scoring record. But after all that's happened, we can only wonder, is that still the case? So we're gonna look into it. Before we do though, in that original video, I do go pretty in depth on just how near impossible Kareem's all-time record is and how tough it actually is to break. I'm gonna go through it a little bit here, but if you want a real in-depth look at the record first, the video is linked in the description. So basically for decades, the NBA's all-time scoring record has been thought of as one of the most unbreakable records across all of sports. And that's because back in 1969, Kareem came in the league on a mission. He averaged 29 points a game as a rookie, 31 as a sophomore, and 35 points per game in his third season. Then continued that trend for most of his career. He would go on to play 20 seasons until he was 42 years old, averaging 24.6 points per game, while playing the second most games in NBA history at 1,560. Because he rarely ever missed a game and only played under 70 games for 2 seasons in his career when he played 65 and 62 games. So he never had any major injuries. And now you're starting to see why this is so crazy, and it gave him a total of 38,387 career points. Now, in my original video, at the time, LeBron James was 33 years old. He was roughly 7,000 points away from the NBA record. He was averaging 27 points per game, playing an average of 74 games per season. Now, at that rate, with the way things were going, he was going to break the NBA record at the end of next season in 2022, putting him at 38 years old. But after I made that video, things started going downhill. LeBron was going to be able to break the record because he started at age 19, 3 years before Kareem. He had never missed an extended amount of games with a major injury, and the league had never been postponed. And him being on pace to break it was assuming that he was going to play at the same pace. But right after I made that video, things started going downhill. I made it and put it out in November of 2018. Soon after, he gets a groin injury that leaves him playing a career low 55 games on the year. The next season, the NBA gets shut down and he only plays 67 games. And now this year, due to his ankle, he only played 43 regular season games. Now don't get me wrong, when healthy, he has done everything right. He scored like he was supposed to, remained dominant, and been on the right track. It's just everything else that's thrown him off. So if he had stayed on his original pace, by now he was supposed to currently have 37,032 points. He was supposed to without a doubt break the record sometime in the middle of next season. But instead, with all the distractions, he's currently sitting at 35,318 regular season points, which honestly still isn't too bad. So he's 3,069 points away. And in the original video, I said that if he experiences any injuries or anything, he could still break the record by the end of the 2023 season. So we need to find out if that's still true. Well, I think it's a lot more fair to bring the 74 games a season he was supposed to be playing to about 60, and to bring his points per game from the 27 before to about 24 a game now, which would give him 1,440 points per year at that pace. So that means he wouldn't break it by the end of 2022, he wouldn't break it by the end of 2023, he would break it sometime very early into the 2024 NBA season. But I don't know, I don't like the sound of that. It just keeps getting pushed further and further back, and by that time LBJ will be 39 years old. But wait, there's still hope it could work. There's a few things here. LeBron's current contract ends at the end of 2023, so he would have to sign a new one, whether it's a 1-year or a 4-year. That would allow him to play long enough to break the record. And I mean, if he makes it at least somewhat healthy until the end of his current deal, even if he's ready to retire, I could see him signing a 1-year deal or like 10-day contracts, limping down the court until he hits enough shots to break the record. Honestly though, James has said that he wants to make it till 2024 anyway so he can play a game with his son. And Bronny James is expected to make it to the NBA at the start of that season. So playing that long, healthy or not, would give James double the incentive. And in the past, he's also said that he's willing to play until he can't walk anymore. So assuming that he still has 2 legs in 3 years, there's a good possibility this record will be broken. I don't know though, I really want it to happen, but the injuries are piling up, and so are the what ifs. No offense to LeBron, not trying to jinx anything, but there is a lot that could go wrong here. Listen, I want it to happen, and if it doesn't, let's look around the league for anybody else that has hopes of breaking this all-time record. Because in that original video, I said that there were 2 requirements a player must have if they want any chance at ever becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. That was to, like LeBron, have come in the NBA at under 20 years old and instantly started playing like a star. There was no one in the league back then that was doing it. The only player that currently at least has any hopes of becoming the league's all-time leading scorer, assuming LeBron doesn't just smash the record record to make it unattainable for anyone else is Luka Doncic, who recently just became the fastest active player and 4th youngest to ever make it to 5,000 points. He's already gonna destroy whatever all-time triple-double record Russell Westbrook ends up setting, and the fact that he got to 5,000 points quicker than LeBron really says something. But there's two problems here. Sure, he got there in less games, but LeBron was almost exactly an entire year younger than Luka when he hit 5,000 points. Luka just did it in less games, and these past two shortened seasons have really hurt his chances. By the end of LeBron James' 3rd season at 21 years old, he had already scored 6,307 points, and now by the end of Luka's 3rd, he's put up 5,097 points. But hey, at least it's still better than Kareem, who hadn't even gotten into the league yet when he was 21 years old. Alright, but wait a minute, I just did some math. Doncic is averaging 25 points a game right now. For him to break the record one day, he would need to continue on this same pace for the next 19 seasons until he's 41. Okay, so really honestly, he may be out of the question. I also mentioned in the original video though, how if Kevin Durant stayed healthy and stayed just as productive as he was back then, until he was 39 years old, he could have broken the record. Sure, it was a stretch, but he was the only other closest player to breaking it. But that was before he tore his Achilles. Missed an entire NBA season and most of this one, so hopefully by now you understand just how insane Kareem made this one, and it looks like unless some monster comes into the league the next few years, it really looks like LeBron's our only hope of breaking this one. Every year that goes on, it's looking less and less likely we're going to see someone break it. But assuming all goes well, it looks like our only hope can be put into the 2023 and 24 season, and if so, that's going to be a huge one for LeBron James, assuming he can make it that long. It's still a pretty far way away since he's already 36 right now, but if he makes it there, two things are going to happen and two records will be broken. The first is assuming that Bronny James follows the path that everyone expects him to and actually does make it to the league. And if he does, it'll make LeBron James the first player to ever play in an NBA game, either with or against his son. Something that can only be done by a player that had a child young, but also had the longevity of over 20 years, which really narrows down the list already. Plus, on top of that, not even to mention that their son must be an insanely good basketball player just to make it there, which is unlike most sons of legendary NBA players. We've seen brothers play together, we've seen fathers coach their sons, but to play together would be something special. But of course, as I mentioned, that same season will be when LeBron James has the opportunity to take over as the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Anything can happen in 2 to 3 years, so hopefully he stays healthy, stays productive, and it actually happens. Because could you just imagine that he gets to break the record in that same first game he gets to play with Bronny? I want to hear what you guys think though. Do you think James will do it and take Kareem's spot? Will he ever record 40,000 points? And is there anyone on the radar that could maybe surpass him one day? If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.